Hey, greetings family, it's Prince D, the instructor. Welcome to Prince D YouTube channel. You are here to listen to a profound tutorial. I don't want you to miss any profound tutoring. Make sure you subscribe and set all your notifications so that you can experience all that Prince D TV has for you. Let's get into this tutorial. It will bless you, and I'll be back with you at the end. Hello, once again you are highly welcome to this video tutorial. Remember, we are still on this playlist on mastering quadratic equations. In our previous video we explored the process of solving a quadratic equation using the factor method. Today we are here to dive into something new, and that is of course the quadratic equation. So we'll be discussing about the quadratic formula, the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula itself is a different method, different from the factor method that we saw in the previous video. So when we talk of the quadratic formula, it's simply a means, a method, a strategy to solve quadratic equations that cannot be factorized. So without wasting much time, we are going to see how the quadratic formula looks like, and we are going to use it to apply to solve quadratic equations and come out with the solutions. So the quadratic formula is of this form: minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all this all over 2a. So if you need to take note, so this is the quadratic formula: minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Remember, when we in our introduction on mastering quadratic equations, this playlist, you remember that I was emphasizing on a, b and c. So this is where we have to apply a, b and c. So this is the formula. Now let's look at an example using the quadratic formula. Let's look at an example. Okay, so the question is solve the quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. So we'll have a beautiful example here: x squared plus 2x plus 1. So we have x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0. X squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0. Are we there? Now it means we have to substitute. This is the quadratic equation. We have to look for the coefficients of the variables and the constants. We substitute each of those into this equation. Now the first step, let's compare this quadratic equation with the general form. That's the first thing you do. So we have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. We're identifying them because we have to use a, we have to use b, and we have to use c. So x squared goes with this, x goes with this, and our constant. So it's easy to identify our constant, right? So our c, comparing this and this, our c is 1. Comparing this with this, you notice that our b is 2. Our b is 2. And of course our a is simply x squared is simply 1. So it means that the coefficient of x squared is 1. Since there is no number, so the moment you realize there is no number there, know it is 1. So it is being multiplied by 1, so A is equal to 1. So now we have our A, we have our B, and of course we have our C. So that's the first step. So our A equal 1, our B equal 2, and our C equal 1. All right, from there we'll be able to substitute into that equation. So this is our equation: x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0. So we substitute that into our quadratic formula. So you will now notice that this quadratic equation cannot be factorized. That's why we are using the quadratic formula. How do we know? Remember, for us to factorize this equation, we need to look for two numbers whereby the product will give us a constant C. Okay? And the sum will give us that. Alright, this example, this particular example, of course, it can also be factorized, but not in every case. So the quadratic formula comes to remedy a situation where it cannot be factorized. This, the product 1 and 1, will give us 1, and the sum will give us 2, so it can be factorized. So simply, if we were doing that, we just move into that, but that's not the concern. Our concern is on the quadratic formula. So minus, the formula says minus, I need to substitute the minus first, then B, my B is 2, so I have 2 plus or minus the square root B squared, my B is 2, so I have 2 squared again, minus 4A, my A is 1, C, my C is 1. All these, all over 2A, 2 multiplied by A, my A is 1. And of course, we are left with minus 2 plus or minus the square root. Let's simplify what is under the square root sign. 2 squared is 2 times 2. So 2 multiplied by 2 twice. So 2 squared is 4. 2 squared equal 2 multiplied by 2. 2 to the power 2 means 2 times. That's indices. So answer is 4. Minus 4 multiplied by 1. Simply 4. Multiplied by another 1 is simply 4. So sign 4 minus 4, that should be 0 all over 2. This brings us to minus 2 plus or minus. Now, what's the square root of 0? The square root of 0 is 0. So let's say, for example, we had 4 under the square root sign. The square root of 4 is 2. So that's how we take care of the square root sign. Now, let's say we had but 9 under the square root sign. The square root of 9 is 3. So that's how we take care of the square root sign. Let's say we had but 25. The square root of 25 is 5. So that's how we take care of the square root sign. In this case, remember, a square root sign means that number you we know the quadratic formula. So here, so our variable is x. So remember, the plus and the minus means we have 2 roots of the equation, and so we can say x1 is equal to minus 2. So let's take the positive part first. minus 2 plus 0 all divided by 2, which is equal to minus 2 plus 0. Remember our number line, minus 2 plus 0. It means minus 2, we add it to simply nothing. It remains the same. So minus 2 all over 2. And remember our negative is there. 2 divided by 2 is simply 1. So our x1 is negative 1. Now our x2 will be equal to negative 2. Now we are taking the negative part. Remember we had a formula says plus or minus. So we are done with the positive part. And now we have the negative part, minus 0 all over 2. So this is equal to, again, negative 2. You are subtracting absolutely nothing. It remains the same. So negative 2 over 2, still the same as negative 1. But now, in a case where maybe, let's say we had but 1 here, you will now notice that negative 2 minus 1, that's negative 3. So we'll have negative 3 over 2. You simply add to use basic operations and what is there. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of a quadratic equation using the quadratic formula, substituting, identify A, B, C, and of course substitute them into the equation. Remember, all of this is being divided by 2a. Thank you so much. Practice more problems and you'll become familiar. Please don't forget to like, to comment, bring your suggestion, share, and of course we are always there to do better. As you already know, I remain your boy, Prince D. See you in the next video. Much love and God bless.